How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, here with my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco from the Bronx.
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Oh, getting over this head cold, man. I'm happy to be here. Sound a lot better. Yeah, sound a lot better than I did earlier, but, something I wanted to actually talk about as soon as yesterday, but I just didn't have the energy to. Guy on my shirt here, Mr. Tupac Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of his death, my all-time favorite rapper. Got to speak on this, man. 27 years in the making. Keefe D, well-known Southside Crip, uncle of Orlando Anderson, arrested. A lot of layers to this, man. He's gone on a lot of different places to be interviewed. Wrote a book about his involvement in that fateful night in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big misconception and confusion about the immunity that he was given. Hey, what's up, Coco? Good to see you, girl. Yeah. I think the immunity factor was very misunderstood. Because when you are involved in a criminal case giving information in exchange for losing a charge. In his case, it was a PCP violation thing, selling drugs. I think he left that situation thinking that he could just show up anywhere and talk that shit about his involvement. And according to him, his involvement was handing the murder weapon to his late nephew. Nobody in that white Cadillac is alive with the exception of Keefe D.
Right.
And not necessarily confirmed, but I believe he is actually fighting cancer right now.
That's what I heard.
So, lots to unpack with this, but according to Keefe D, he was essentially approached by Puff Daddy, who is the CEO of Bad Boy Records, to basically put a hit on Pac and Suge. And, there have been a litany of different accounts about all of this. And the one person who I wholeheartedly believe has always kept it true since day one is actually Gene Deal.
Yeah.
While actually being an employee for Bad Boy, I feel that Gene Deal has always been very reasonable in his recounts of what was going on during that time. The problem is that basically a man by the name of Zip, according to Keefe D, was the guy who got the $1 million reward, so to speak, for what happened here. Keefe D never got the money. And essentially, the breakdown is like, Puffy can't get touched on this. I'm not sure if that's really true.
Yeah, same here.
And like anything else, it's a tough line to walk, me being somebody who's a rap fan and just somebody who's always been very intrigued with the story, to just flat out say, yeah, man, this came from Puff and all the way up, or all the way down, I should say, but I'm allowed to have an opinion, I guess. And my opinion is that Puff Daddy, Diddy, he is behind it, always has been. And when you look at even the night at the Peterson Auto Museum, the night that Biggie was murdered, Keefe D was literally with the Bad Boy team. And I'm sorry, man. It's very impossible for me to believe that y'all are like that on that level whenever he has served as protection for you guys. And it's just some weird coincidence that the record label's cash cow that you guys are beefing with, Orlando Anderson, from my understanding, the subject of the fight in the MGM, we all know what happened.
Yep.
It's like, I think he was a prop to be there because they needed a reason to go forward and do what they did. And according to most accounts that I've read, Puffy basically put a bounty on Death Row Chains. And when Orlando was spotted, that's why that broke down like that.
I remember when it went down, I was at my girlfriend's house. We were watching the Mike Tyson fight. And I remember that night they said Tupac got killed. And a lot of us who were there, we all said Diddy had something to do with this. Right out the gate, we said this. Diddy got something to do with this. And I remember seeing an interview later with Biggie saying, I'm next, man. He said, I'm next.
Yeah, he did that on Rap City. I do remember that.
Yeah, I'm next. And with Keith D, my thing with him, you had immunity. Keep your mouth shut.
And the way that works, sorry to interrupt you, you literally have immunity for that day with the police.
Right.
The second you leave that setting, there is no more immunity.
No more. It happened with Sammy the Bull Gravano, Henry Hill.
A lot of these guys need to be like, the Ted Koppel of like the mafia game, or like the Ted Koppel of like, gang life. Like they have to, they all want to be movie stars.
He just kept talking and kept talking. And after a while, you break that agreement because it's a written agreement. Look, we're going to let you have immunity. Keep your mouth shut. It's like a gag order. Be quiet. You do what you want. Be quiet. But he kept talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And that's when the Fed said, you know what? That's it. We've given you too much rope and you're just taking advantage of it. So, and it's ironic it happened 27 years after Pac was murdered. You know how they had the thing Forever 27, Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm glad this happened, and I still feel Diddy has something to do with Biggie getting killed, too. Because if Pac had to go, Biggie had to go.
I've always been somewhat suspicious when you take into account that going back to the night at the Peterson, that Biggie was coming off of that car accident.
Right.
And you're talking about a very heavy, obese dude that wasn't moving around well and needed the assistance of a cane.
Right.
So if there was ever an easy target, especially like given the scenario that went down there, it was that particular night. And there's a lot of recounts, but one thing I got to give Gene Deal is that he has always been consistent with his stories.
Always.
And the thing is with Gene, you could tell that maybe finding God and maybe being this many years removed from, being a bodyguard and seeing some of the ugliest side of the rap game, the ugly part of it.
Yeah.
I believe that Gene is legitimately tormented by knowing what happened to Big. And not just Big, because I think Gene has a great deal of empathy for Tupac as well.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, I do too. Because, when like Snoop tells a story, I don't know if it's the weed or just that he's getting older or a little bit of everything. Yeah. But Snoop will tell you the same story in like 4 different ways, which becomes a credibility thing, or just that he's on like that old uncle thing that he's just bugging out.
Yeah.
But with this particular thing with this coming to light, I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I'm a huge Tupac fan. I think it was a massive loss for the world. So knowing in my heart that I think the CEO of Bad Boy Records was the funder of this, and knowing in my heart that money talks and that I don't necessarily think that he could be touched, so to speak, in terms of legally, yeah, that pisses me off. Like if I'm Mopreme Shakur, the brother of Pac, I could understand why this is bittersweet and why this doesn't really feel like a complete win, because he's not stupid.
No.
Mike Tyson loved Tupac. They were tight. They were good.
They were tight.
They were very tight. I'm sure Mike, to a level, has to rejoice in the fact that Keefy D's going in, because even Keefy D like legitimately got live, telling Mike, stay in your lane.
Yeah, and Mike was like, whatever. I mean, I wasn't a big Tupac fan back then, but I liked him, and I think he put a lot into he made his mark. Whether you could be the biggest hater of him, you have to give him his due for what he did, because he did a lot in his short time. He did a lot. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of him, but there's a lot of songs he made that I love, and I've got like 4 or 5 pictures I've drew the guy, because he was great. He was great, period. I mean, you can't take that away from him.
I think especially you being a hip hop purist, and when you consider where you grew up and the generation you come from, I think the best way to assess Pac on the talent level, because I just don't want to make this about some douchebag that was responsible for his death, because I'm not going to give that guy that much credit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Tupac. Let's make it about Pac for a minute. I'm going to say this. I feel that lyrically, he may have been lacking when you think about some of the finest rappers ever, whether it's a Black Thought, whether it's KRS-One, whether it's Big Daddy Kane. There are plenty of guys that you could insert. But I think the thing that with Pac that stands out is that, number one, it was a stage presence. Yeah. He was a very polarizing figure because I think that he made it a lot easier to connect to him on a lot of levels. It wasn't just that you necessarily had to be from the hood or you necessarily had to be a black man to understand this dude's struggle or to feel like you really felt this guy.
Right.
The catalog is insanely detailed considering that it was a short lifespan. And I'm not going to get into anything post-death. Personally, I think Machiavelli and the way that they chose to market it was kind of designed to take advantage of the artist's death.
Yeah.
From the artwork with him being on the cross to the video.
Yeah.
I do believe that it's pretty genius. I'm not going to say it's not. But when you look at the big wheel that is Death Row Records at the time, and it was kind of like their last punch because they were not far from going under.
The song that touched me the most, he had a lot of songs. Like I got a lot of his stuff, man. But the song that touched me the most was one with Scarface, Smile.
Yeah, that was good.
If you listen to the lyrics to that song, and if you watch the video, that song hit me like, wow. And I think with Tupac, he probably wasn't the best lyrical person because you got Rakim, you got a lot of people. I think with Tupac, he was more about poetry. If you have him write poetry, he will kill you because he was a real good poet. I think the problem with Tupac, and it's not going to diminish his greatness, it's just he got with the wrong people. Yeah, because the guy he's freaking. I mean, people don't realize outside of writing lyrics, the guy can play 3 instruments. The guy he was
multiverse. He was multiversed with such talent. Not to mention that,
real good actor.
I mean, bro, as far as I'm concerned, I think Juice was a game changer.
Yeah.
Juice was a game changer above the rim. Really good. Poetic Justice, being alongside Janet Jackson and making that.
Mine was Gridlock with him and Tim Roth.
Playing the life.
That was my favorite.
The life of playing the life of a drug addict that's trying to stay clean.
That was my favorite, man. I love that.
Yeah, and it was released like right after his death. So I could honestly say that watching that for the first time, that one hit kind of different.
Yeah.
Knowing that he really was gone,
Yeah, Curtis Von Day White, the one that played the drug dealer. I remember him and Tim Roth did a dedication to him, to Tupac. If you got the full video, at the end they talk about him, how he was on set, and they was like, yeah, I mean they gave a real good tribute to him. It was dope. They were how funny he was, and they had to get him to calm down because he had them laughing so hard. He like, look, dude, we got to shoot this shot.
And even the way that he portrayed Bishop and Juice, and that was phenomenal, and
he was good. Yeah,
he was getting back to overall the circle. I do want to ask you this before we move it along. In your opinion, obviously, it's more than just being arrested. It has to go to trial. And I'm sure that this is going to be well covered by the media. Do you think there's any realistic possibility that if Keefe D legitimately tries to give up Puff, that there is going to be any kind of support system that can actually make that a real thing where this guy is also legitimately getting investigated? Because we saw him slip through the cracks with the situation that happened with Shine. I mean, shit, bro, you want to go back far enough, even the City College thing.
Yep.
And it's
Oh
not
yeah, I
like,
remember
and
that.
it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like my life duty whenever this man comes, it's like, oh, he has to be incarcerated. But not for nothing, man. There's just too many
It's just
common
too much,
sense.
man.
Common sense doesn't get people
It's just too much stuff,
indicted, and
man.
common sense doesn't get people. You still need certain evidence to make these things happen.
It's just too much stuff. But like I said, going back to City College, that was the first major. So many people died, man.
And for Gene Deal to so calmly talk about, oh yeah, like Gene Deal knows that Puff was behind the Tupac thing.
I think Keith D will give him up, because if he has cancer and all, I think Keith will give him up, and I think Puff just got too much stuff. I've never been a fan of him, and those who grew up in New York and even up in the Bronx area, up in the Upper Bronx area, we all knew about Puffy. We all knew about Puffy. I mean, before he really blew up, we knew about him. But I think if Keith really gives him up, I think they'll get him.
I think the thing that I find intriguing about all of this is because Keefe never received the money, so to speak, and whatever the reward was for putting the hit out. Yeah. I'm just curious to see how they get Puff, or if they might on the low already have more than they've already alluded to, and maybe Keefe D is just like the first piece that leads up to the bigger fish, because
the feds work.
Yeah, and it's like, but this is the other thing, and I think you might agree with my reasoning here. I'm just going to tell you my personal opinion. I personally think that Puff is not going to go down for this, and I'll tell you why. As much as I hate to say it like this, it's an unfortunate truth that I believe to be true. I believe that the feds look at it like, oh yeah, Puff's behind it, but he did us a favor. And as much as I hate to say it like that, I wholeheartedly believe. But then again, this is the world X amount of years later. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, Puff being out there and being the dirtbag that he is, I'm just going to call it like I see it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that it hurts their bottom line.
Yeah, you got a point.
But having said that, I can't consider it justice if it's only halfway done.
Right.
You don't need to be a detective to know that this dude. I mean, bro, like just look at look at the shots from the Peterson Museum that night. Keefe D is all up in bad boy shit, and I'm supposed to believe that on his own volition.
Right.
Nah, dog. Sorry.
I agree.
It's also incredibly eerie that this happened not only 27 years later, but also in the month of September.
Right.
That's pretty wild.
Ain't that something?
Well, we keep it in Vegas. Canelo Alvarez, man. There's not a whole lot left for this guy to do. I mean, he's already carved out a phenomenal career. I think it's more about younger guys stepping to him and making a name for themselves, similar to how Canelo had to do when he was on the come up with taking a chancy fight with a guy like a Floyd Mayweather. Which he valiantly lost, but gave Mayweather a really good fight. And he was a very young fighter back then.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would like to see Canelo against Benavidez. I think that would be worth a watch.
Yeah.
And I guess my question to you, Idris, before we actually go into the detail of the fight, what do you think's next for him?
I think that's the only real fight out there, Benavidez. That's the only one, because he's been wanting Canelo for the longest. The guy has 60 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. I mean,
he's got to be careful what he wishes
champion. For. Yeah, dude's made his mark, man. I mean, there's not many fights out there unless he's going to wait for Crawford to come up.
I could see a scenario where that happens. In terms of what we saw yesterday, it was really just a lot of dominance, because I think if you're going to really dive into the 12 rounds, I don't necessarily think you could find a round that Canelo lost.
No. You know, the funny thing is, they said, oh, the weight thing. Everyone knows Charlo walks around heavy and sweats down. He was bigger than Canelo. I mean, yeah, I box, and the weight does make a difference, because I boxed at 165 and I fought 185. But I walked in the ring at 170 as an amateur. So I was still 15 pounds less. I made it through the 3 rounds, but it took a toll on me. But you're talking this guy, Charlo's a big guy. And with Charlo, like I got into it, a guy in a boxing, I said, look, Charlo hardly even fights.
Yeah.
And you going to fight this guy, you're going to fight Canelo, who's been fighting the best in his division, whoever else want to come at him, and you fight like once every 5 or 6 years. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. He fights once every couple of years, and you're gonna go and fight this guy and go up to his weight class. It wasn't even a fight. And then I see what he said. Well, I did this, but he didn't knock me out like he knocked everybody else out. Ooh, he beat your ass.
Yeah, I always did get amused with certain guys. And listen, it does say something when you could take punishment, but there's no medal for that either.
No. You know what? If I went 12 rounds, if I fought a guy, let's say I fought Canelo, we went at it for 10 hard rounds, and he knocked me out in the 10th round. But they could say, golly, they went at it for 10 whole rounds.
Right.
Then you say, I went up to this weight class, and I hung with, but you don't go up in weight class and guy beat your ass. Oh, at least he didn't knock me out.
Yeah.
He made you take a knee.
You know? Yeah, and the thing is too that what I saw from unfortunately I wasn't able to watch it live because, like I said, I was kind of sick. My brother had the fight last night, but I was able to get into the fight today and see some of the stuff that went down. And what I noticed with Charlo is that he didn't follow up on anything, almost out of like a fear of getting put down.
Yes,
and that's kind of how I saw it.
That's how I saw it. It's like he was scared. Like, dude, you got to fight this guy.
Yeah.
It's like he was scared.
Yeah.
And Canelo just steady bit. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't even Canelo's best performance. It was so easy for him. He just, okay, this is open. Bam, bam, bam. Like, you know, so.
And shouts out Zay Fetty. He was actually out there last night. Quick Vegas trip, checking out the fight.
Cool. Shout out Zay.
Yeah, we were discussing the fight at work a little bit.
Yeah.
And we kind of both on the same vibe when it comes to weighing Canelo's career. It's like he was a baby when he lost to Floyd.
Yeah.
And he took a personal challenge and fought out of his weight class. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I don't view that as a straight loss. No. And like I said, when he personally, I think a Mayweather would have took him out a little more when he was excuse me, more so in his prime.
Yeah.
I believe he would have beat him. But, you know, I can't always base something off of what didn't happen. I got to base it off of what did.
Yeah.
But like anything else, I'm sure if you're a football fan, you're like, oh, man, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Brady wrote the defense, man. He ain't better than Patrick.
Yeah.
And, you know, let it all finish. And then at the end, we will see where everything's at.
Right.
Chandler Jones, bro. The X video and his arrest that soon followed, and in my opinion, just a vivid reminder of the mental health issues in contact sports. You know, he spoke about Aaron Hernandez. I don't know if this is potentially CTE. I have a hard time believing it's not, you know, a legitimate issue within the brain, but I think the thing that bothers me about this is I don't think this is brand new news to the Raiders. I don't think they found out yesterday.
Oh, no.
Or 2 days ago or 4 days ago. You know what I'm saying? And I think
they know.
I think letting them march out on the field, knowing that there might be a lot more behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, in the words of Tony Soprano, it's immoral.
Yeah. You know, and he's a good player, man. And
oh, I love the guy. I mean, Brett was
player,
pissed when the Patriots lost him.
Yeah, to the Raiders.
Yeah, well, to the Cardinals and to the Raiders.
To the Raiders, yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's such a good player. I think it's something up there. Bipolar. It could schizophrenia. It could be anything. But like you said, it really shows how important your mental health is. And us men, we really got to take it seriously and just not brush it off as I'm gonna be okay, because it can escalate, and then you be like, you know, anything can happen, man. I feel bad for the dude, man.
No, I legitimately do, and this is nothing to even moderately make fun of. You know, I just want to bring bring it like, guys, I understand that the NFL has certain avenues, but owners, coaches, teammates, you guys are around these guys more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a better job of protecting these guys before they become a danger to themselves and others.
What's the guy from Seattle a few years ago?
Oh, that was the worst. He played with us for a little bit too.
Yeah,
you're talking about Chad Wheeler?
No, not Chad Wheeler. Oh shoot. He wanted a trade. He went out and got hurt with Seattle, and they took him off the field. He gave Pete Carroll a finger. Was it Cam Chancellor? No, it wasn't Chancellor.
I would have to revisit that.
I can't remember.
I do recall the story. I originally thought you were talking about Chad Wheeler at first.
But yeah, Chad Wheeler's another one though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it. I don't know, man. I don't know. NFL, you got to do better. I'm not solely blaming this on the NFL. Everybody's responsible for their own actions, but I have a hard time believing that within that organization, the Raiders were not in the know that there was a lot more going on. And that bothers me on a human level. Keeping it in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills just freaking run over
Earl Thomas.
Okay, thank you. I do recall that now.
Yeah.
But this year,
whew.
And I'm so pissed at myself and Pop's Cheddar in the Sun League for not playing Josh Allen. And maybe me being on some meds and I'm feeling too good. Maybe I didn't have my head all right. But so Jake, friend of the show, a guy that plays in our league, I'm going head to head with him today. And I'm watching, it's like the beginning of the day and the England game's on.
Yeah.
And I noticed that he offered me a trade. He wants Josh Allen. He offered me Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'll figure out a deal. I also have Patrick Mahomes on my roster.
Yeah.
A deal that I had made with Zappy. So I guess in order to you're riding high in this league. You're in first place right now. So I guess the point to be made is I got to move on.
So
I didn't see it. I'm not gonna lie. After the draft, I didn't see it. I certainly didn't see it. But right now, you're atop the mountain,
dude. When I say I'm surprised, I'm very surprised.
Well, that's the way it's going right now. But on the bright side of things, I would have been all right. I still would have lost even if I didn't play Allen. Jake had that kind of week.
Yeah.
But watching that Buffalo game and seeing the kind of game that Allen had and knowing that in my heart I was going to start him and then I somehow talked myself out of it, I'm pissed at myself.
Yeah.
But as the game goes, you said it off air, they don't have Jalen Ramsey right now.
Right.
And even that he's only one player. Miami's defense, I think, plays to the level of their competition. I don't necessarily view them as an elite unit.
No.
The Bills, on the other hand, one thing I got to say about these guys and all of us on this show, previewing that division, while we still respect the Bills, we all say that they are kind of losing a step and they're closer to not being in the championship elite picture. And pretty much since an awful performance at MetLife Stadium to start the season in the Aaron Rodgers game, the Bills have absolutely done nothing other than prove everybody wrong.
Me too.
I mean, the Washington game going into there, and then you saw Washington fight tooth and nail with Philly, take it to overtime. I'm surprised Riverboat Ron didn't go for 2.
I thought he would. With the Buffalo-Miami game, Cheetah got 3 catches for 58 yards, dude. You got to throw that guy the ball. And the defense could not stop the run. And Diggs, Diggs did what he wanted to do.
I got news for you. Right now, with a healthy Von Miller coming back into the fold very soon.
Either this week or next week.
I believe that everybody on this panel, and I'll raise my hand right now, maybe undersold the Bills just a little bit. And maybe their window is not closed. I mean, granted, it's only the month of September. Well, today's October 1st. Maybe they still do have a little bit more in the tank than we gave them credit for. And I will say this, too. Gabe Davis, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. He said, I wasn't right last year because there was a lot of chatter on this show and all over a lot of different podcasts that he's not meant to be a number 2.
Right.
Quite frankly, Gabe Davis has looked every bit of what a number 2 should look like right now. So I got to give credit where it's due. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm going to own this shit on the show. And I think the Buffalo Bills, while I still have Miami winning this division, let's wait and see now because the final game of the year is in Miami. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. But I got news for you, bro. After seeing the Bills get beat by the Jets on a special teams play and, like, Josh Allen just couldn't do anything right that night, to see them respond with 4 straight victories and him playing at a very high level.
Let me tell you.
Jordan, by the way.
Jordan, hey, what's up, Jordan?
I'm a namesake of the show. Jordan, thanks for advising me to play Patrick Mahomes.
I'm looking at his comment.
Thanks for advising me for playing Patrick Mahomes today over it's not your fault. I still have to make the decision, but I got to give you a little shit for that. Happy you're hanging with us, Jay.
All right, Baba E. Taylor Swift. I'm going to go ahead and eat my crow. What's up, Jordan? I'm going to go ahead and eat my crow now because I had the Jets number 1, Miami 2, Buffalo 3. We already know the Jets are not going to be number 1, 2, or perhaps even 3.
And I got to give my mom credit because she literally, like, on the eve of the regular season said, if Rodgers gets hurt, the Jets are finished.
They are.
Got to give her that, and she was here.
They are. Jordan, boy.
We got to get him back on in the near future.
You got to come back on the show, man.
Yeah, man. Always an awesome conversation.
But you know something? When I used to watch his show before you flipped over, I always thought he was a real calm guy. He didn't. But then when I started listening to him, I'm like, nah.
Jordan, he gets pretty intense. And you know he's feeling good. Because he's been watching football pretty much since he probably woke up today because his Jaguars had that. And this is wild, too, with them being out there 2 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have a better record. Bro, if they win next week, they have 2 wins in England before they have 1 win in Duval.
They play good for was it last year? The year they played good in London for some reason.
They signed a deal where they're going to do a lot of games there.
They should.
And if I was a season ticket holder, I'd probably be a little annoyed.
Yeah.
But to be honest, not to even make fun of these guys, because these guys are still trying to figure out their trajectory.
Yeah.
They haven't played well in Jacksonville, but they've played well everywhere else this year. So you know, make that make sense.
They might move the franchise over there, the London Jaguars.
And Jay, a little bit of a fact here to you. The New York Giants are actually 3-0 all time in London. We kept that streak up last year by beating the Green Bay Packers. I remember I was on the red eye coming back from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
We don't look great yet, but if we keep winning. No, I'm with you here. And another thing, Jordan, I got to say that kind of surprised me. Going into the year, the Tennessee Titans were my pick for this division. As you know, last year, your Jaguars and the Titans took it to the wire with the Jaguars eking them out and then overcoming a huge game against the Los Angeles Chargers, a huge deficit, I should say. The Jaguars have as good a chance as anyone to win that division right now. I knew Indy was going to get pounded by the Rams. I just knew that
in that division.
Indy did make a late comeback.
Yeah.
But it's anybody's division right now. And we're gonna move it along to baseball here. Got some topics we definitely want to hit on for baseball. Man, this is sad. Tim Wakefield passed away. Sad day for baseball. As a devout, diehard New York Yankee fan, I just want to give my sincere condolences to his family, his fans, his friends, and to Red Sox Nation. This dude was one of the most phenomenal players in the sense that he basically kept his career alive for so many years off of one pitch.
One pitch.
and just a devastating knuckleball.
Like me spoke off air. I don't like no Red Sox, but he was the one pitcher because he threw a knuckleball. Him, Phil Negro, and Steve Sparks, because I threw a knuckleball, and I just loved. He was so good at it, So seeing him go, it's like wow, because he was
young guy. I always will have a fond memory of of him being on the receiving end. Giving up a home run to our current manager, Aaron Boone.
Yep.
Aaron Boone's only season in pinstripes.
He hung that ball out there too.
He did hang it out there. Boone had his moment in the sun, and you see the Tim Wakefield reaction, and I think it just spoke volumes about how serious and how ultra competitive those Yankees and Red Sox series were in the mid 2000s. Very next year, the Red Sox overcome a 3-0 deficit to those Yankees, go on to win a World Series, and then follow with 2 more, breaking the curse of the Bambino. And, Tim Wakefield, a member of the 04 and 07 team, and just really sad, man. I don't care who you root for. There are certain guys that play the sport that you respect no matter what. And Tim Wakefield checks all the boxes as far as I'm concerned. And just want to say that we're sad here at the show to hear about his passing, One
of my favorite pitchers of all time, even though he's a Red Sox.
Yeah. What makes rivalries great are the people that play in them on both sides of the fence. And, he was one of those guys that made it must-see TV during that era in baseball. So, our sincerest condolences to Tim Wakefield. He will not be forgotten. I can assure you of that. We're going to flip it to a guy that I think everybody wants to forget about. Why Angel Hernandez must leave the diamond forever.
Ever.
Good friend of the show, Dorney, diehard Met fan, hates Bryce Harper, but he literally said it the other day. He's like, this guy couldn't be any more right. And it seems like a couple of times every year, you have like a legitimate tirade from a player bitching and moaning about how this man cannot see a strike, a ball. He has no continuity in terms of how he calls a game. And quite frankly, I don't know how to explain it properly, but I do believe that there is some validity to this. That Angel Hernandez is more interested in being a star in his own right than actually calling a game down the middle and doing it the right way.
His strike zone is I don't even think he has one.
Bro.
I don't think he has. I think just throw the ball, strike. It could be up here, strike.
Right. He doesn't have a definitive strike zone because it's like anything else. Ball players gain rapport with umpires over the years.
Yeah.
And you take certain players that are marquee names that will literally converse with the umpire and be like, what is it looking like? What am I looking to expect?
Yeah.
Because no strike zone is ever created equal, so to speak. But I'm sorry, one thing that I think we all agree on is that Angel Hernandez is literally the worst. And, MLB's got to do something, man, because you're tarnishing your brand when you have a guy that is this horrific of an umpire.
It's at the point, like you said, it's at the point to where now he's more he wants the headlines. It's like I mean, I don't think he's throwing as open rating. Yeah, with his strike zone, you're right. I don't think he's setting out to make bad calls, but I think he's one of those guys. It's like he embellishes it. I'm becoming this star in baseball.
I feel that it's actually his thing now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like he has to suck on purpose now to kind of fill a role almost.
He's getting the press. He's getting he's getting all like, Angel Hernandez.
And I don't have any time for guys that want to be bigger than the game because my thing is like even with the NFL, when you see some of these refs calling some terrible calls, like Jordan and I were joking the other day on the phone when we were catching our lumps against the Niners. And there was like this 150-50 call that we had a good laugh on. And whether the call was correct or not, the point is that there's too much inconsistency in every sport. Yeah. And but then, let's be real, dude. We're not that far removed from Tim Donaghy in the NBA. And, people like to bet, people like to gamble, people like to enjoy the sports aspect of the gambling aspect of sports. But it's like, it's not a good look, guys, when some of this shit's a little too obvious.
Especially when he said it. You're like, he said a lot of stuff that I'm like, Donaghy did say this.
Yeah, man.
But this guy, Hernandez, man, it's MLB got to do something. Like, look here, dude, you need to get your act together.
Even if they got to pay him to go away, but they got to do something.
Yeah, they got to do something, man.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. It's really bad. We got some MLB teams getting ready for October baseball. We're going to do a more detailed show on this in the near future, but I do want to make a mention. This is going to be a very interesting series here when you got 3 games set. St. Pete, you got the Texas Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. And I think it's exciting because sadly, during the pandemic season, the Rays were not able to enjoy their home venue. And people will rag on the Trop all day long. I'm happy that it looks like the Rays are going to stay. They're getting a new stadium. That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
But
they need to stay. They need to stay there.
One thing about the Rays, they know how to use that stadium to its advantage. And when you consider them overcoming the situation with Wander Franco, I'm not going to divulge. She doesn't deserve the attention. I want to make it about the team. This team has weathered so many injuries this year. And when you consider that they are the closest thing to what we've seen to the Billy Bean Moneyball guys, it's hard not to admire them. And I'm speaking from the aspect of the complete other side of the spectrum, being a Yankee fan. But I have a lot of respect for those Rays. And quite frankly, this is a great series on so many metrics because Bruce Bochy, the job that he did with the Rangers this year,
a
lot of good storylines here.
I got to respect the Rays, too, because here's a franchise. They never built their franchise on big money players. They can't fill the stadium, but they go out there and play. They play in stadiums where you think the team is 55 wins and 90 losses.
Right.
But every night they play and they play hard and they compete. And each year after year, they're up there fighting second place, first place.
Not to mention their manager is constantly in the mix for manager of the year.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's always a
take your hat off to those guys, man. They don't have a big payroll, but they keep a team on the field that plays every night in an empty stadium, basically.
And I got news for you. I'm going to talk to you about that empty stadium. Some of the best memories and some of the best conversations, being now a Floridian, with my former host, Jordan. It's a thing that we unfortunately didn't do this year. So I guess that means that to make up for it, we'll do 2 next year.
Yeah, I'm coming too. So y'all let me know.
But one thing I got to say is what these guys have been able to do and have a sustained success. It's not some flimsy, like flavor of the month shit. This is their identity. This is who they are. As my prediction goes, I'm taking the Rays in 3. I think this is going to be good. I'm taking the Rays in 3.
There are rivals. I same thing. I take them in 3. I would like to see them win one for that city. Sure. Because they did it. It's just the way, like Jordan said, they don't have the money. They do it in the farm. I like to see them win one because I think, God, man, they work so damn hard, man. And let me send 2 shouts out. How about the Mets? And how about the Red Sox finishing in last place?
Yeah.
I love it. I know we didn't do that well, but you know what? I'm doing Jamel Charlo. At least we didn't finish on the bottom.
I'm going to do a Charlo as well and say over 3 decades and counting, of baseball over 500. And I got news for you. This was a historically good AL East this year. So I'm not ashamed of not having the year we had when, in my opinion, the best player in Major League Baseball missing 2 months definitely derailed a lot of that. I don't want to put it on one player. Because I just got done saying how the Rays have a bunch of injuries.
If you look at the Central, we will be in second place in the Central.
Oh, and indeed.
It's like, and even with the other divisions, the AL East was the toughest one.
Right.
The toughest division.
Right.
That's why I feel bad because we played poorly.
No doubt.
In such a deep division, man.
Yeah.
Golly. Freaking Orioles, the Rays, the Jays.
Yeah, I'm not upset. I'm more concerned about the immediate future.
Yeah.
There's a particular pitcher in Japan right now that the Yankees are definitely considering making a substantial offer to blow the rest of the teams out of the water on.
The side too.
And I'll be honest, it's kind of a 50-50 whenever we go to Japan to get pitchers.
Yeah.
Tanaka worked out well. I think Tanaka was a truly good Yankee that unfortunately he didn't win a World Series, so he might get overlooked.
Yeah.
But we also, if you're talking about position player, Matsui had a phenomenal Yankee career.
Yeah.
Ending it near the end of it, World Series MVP in 2009, which is our most recent banner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mixed bag. Hideki Arabu, may he rest in peace, was not a good Yankee. So there's a lot of ways to – Kayagawa? Forget it. I don't even want to talk about that guy.
Oh, man.
Jesus. All right, so we got the Blue Jays at the Twins. I got Toronto in 3. I'm going to give the Twins 1 game, but I got Toronto in 3. Diamondbacks, Brewers. I got the Brew Crew in 2. And I got the Marlins upsetting the Philadelphia Phillies in 3.
Blues and Jays. I mean, the Jays and Twins. Yeah, I give them. I say 3.
I don't like the D-backs in Milwaukee.
No. I think the Brew Crew's they're gonna walk out of there. I'm taking the Marlies. Thinking about Bob Marley. I'm taking the Marlins over the Phillies.
Right.
I think it'll be close. What you got there? Oh, what did Jordan say? You're a clown for that. I love it. What's he talking about?
We'll figure it out in a moment. Twins, Brewers, and Phillies. You got the Twins beating the Jays. That's interesting. It's not out of the question. It's not out of the question.
You talking me?
Jordan got the Twins winning.
Yeah, I do too. I think Twins beat the Jays.
No secret. It's weird. It's like, okay, so I already praised division rival Tampa. I ain't going to praise Toronto, but one thing I will say is their bench coach, they're number 2 in terms of the managerial situation there. Don Mattingly, always pull for him this time of the year on the coaching realm.
Yeah.
Because I want that guy to get a ring. But it is weird seeing him in a Blue Jay uniform, especially, dude. I don't even have words for how that makes me feel. Being the kind of fan I was of his, former Yankee captain, but I think it's a philosophy thing, similar to why Reggie went to Houston.
Yeah.
And we're going to elaborate more and really dive into more of this baseball as it comes. But it's going to be an exciting time in Major League Baseball. October is going to be good stuff. Tonight, do the Jets have a snowball's chance in hell to pull off any of this? Okay, thanks. I didn't think so either. I didn't think so either. Fantasy football, not my day.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little better.
I will say this about the game tonight. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game because the Jets have a good defense. But I think it won't be like Dallas put on New England today. because the Jets got a pretty decent defense, but I think KC will hang 20. I'd say it'd be like 28 to 10.
That's damn near close to what and it's funny, I didn't even post my IG pics today because, like I said, I was sick. Yeah. Normally I do that every morning, but every Sunday morning for the games. But
they got to move. They got to sit Wilson, just like New England has to sit Jones.
Speaking, it's getting to a point where it's getting revealed that Mac Jones just isn't that dude. Mm-hmm. I honestly thought going back to last year that Bailey Zappi was more impressive.
I did too.
But we'll see how it plays out.
He was so horrible. I was like, I watched that game. I turned it off at halftime, and I said, I'm gonna watch another game. But all the games were blowouts. I said, I'm not watching any football until the night.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Is that O's for Orioles or zeros as in y'all lost today?
Chanel, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I hate the Baltimore Orioles.
Me too.
And I never wish them well.
Me neither.
Mac Jones is doo-doo butter. All right.
Melted doo-doo butter.
Damon Giannis joining forces in Milwaukee. Short and sweet, I'll put it to you like this. While I think the Knicks are on the ascension, I think Philly is trying to figure out what their next play is, because I think there is a distinct possibility that Joel Embiid might be out of Philly in the not-so-distant future.
I agree.
Brooklyn, they're on the down slide. Chicago Bulls, after a promising year 2 years ago, last year not so much. Cleveland, they're coming up. Boston, kind of revamping their roster a little bit.
Yeah, they got Drew Holiday.
Yeah, not bad, but I will say this.
Defense.
Ooh.
What's up? Ooh.
Damn, that sucks.
Dang. A lot of ACL tears happening, man.
Yeah, it's something that the NFL definitely is going to have to.
I think with Dame and Giannis, it's a good combination. I think they lost defense with bringing in Dame and letting Drew Holiday go. They got a finisher in Dame, but you still need defense, man.
Yeah, I think from the offensive level. No, correct me if I'm wrong. Brook Lopez is still under contract there, right?
Him and Middleton, yeah.
Yeah, he's an enforcer. I like Brook at this juncture of his career because he knows his role.
Yeah.
And I think he's been very good for that organization. But what I like about this is now you take a guy like Middleton who could be the number 3 now. And there's going to be certain nights where Dame puts it on his shoulders. But make no mistake, when healthy, Giannis is still arguably the best player in the league, and he should be treated as such, as a number 1. I have a feeling that these guys are going to be very, very motivated, because I think this is what essentially keeps Giannis and makes him a buck for life. And if not a buck for life, a buck for all his substantial seasons.
I think what's good about it is it used to be like Drew Holiday had mad game, and they say he's future Hall of Fame. Right. Middleton is defensive, Brook Lopez. But see, now that you have Dame, you can't go down and lock. You can't double and triple team Giannis now.
Right.
It's just like you can't leave Dame one-on-one with someone because it hits you from 30 feet out. We don't like the O's, Coco. Just letting you know, we don't like the O's. We don't like the Red Sox. We don't root for the Mets. Nah. Shout out to the Mets.
Coco, after the show, I got to send you a very iconic fight that involved the New York Yankees as well as the Baltimore Orioles. So I'm going to send that to you once we get out of here. Darryl Strawberry definitely was throwing them. Keeps the NBA balance. Well, yeah, Zappy makes a point here that's very worthwhile, because the East needs that powerhouse that I don't think too many people were buying.
Yeah.
The Miami Heat, no disrespect to them, or even the Boston Celtics for that matter. You know, Milwaukee getting knocked out in round one was very much a shock to NBA fans this year.
That was a Giannis thing. He was hurt and he came back. He was, you know.
It happens. You know, sometimes it's like anything else. Sometimes in the NFL, you see it.
Yeah.
You know, it only takes one bad day to end a great season. And sometimes in Major League Baseball or in the NBA, it only takes a bad couple of days to lose your season.
I think Miami, they had a good run, but Boston got deeper defensively. Milwaukee got better offensively. They say Cleveland's on the up. The Knicks are on the up. I think Miami's going to struggle this year because they lost a few pieces themselves.
Yeah, Spo has done so well.
Yeah,
with maximizing role players and really having them buy in. And, you know, let's be real, they played some damn good defense last year.
Yeah.
Particularly in that Knicks series where we lost a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
But I got to say, what I'm looking forward to this particular year as a Knicks fan is I want to see Jalen Brunson take it to the next level now. He gave us a taste of who he could be. And Julius Randle, bro.
He's getting on my nerves.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
The man just doesn't like to play defense anymore. He got very lazy.
Yeah. The team I want to watch this year is Golden State. Because with Chris Paul, that's going to take a lot. That's going to take a big load off of Steph.
I would have to say.
Because now you got a facilitator. And CP3 can score too if he has to.
Yeah, so, no doubt.
Chris Paul, I want to see how they do. He just got to be healthy. That's all.
What I like about it for any team that has that luxury is that you could put two legitimate ball handlers in the game in crunch time.
Yeah.
And, you know, those vital 2 to 3 minutes that end those NBA games, you know, some of the things that we as fans take for granted.
Yeah, you got Chris Paul and you got Steph, then you got Clay. It's like, oh my God.
He's right.
Something though.
He's right. You know, Julius Randle last year just really pissed me off during those playoffs. And
yeah.
Quite frankly,
don't forget RJ Barrett, because he disappeared too.
RJ Barrett did disappear, and to be honest with you, when we were down in that series, I was already trying to come up with trades that were to figure out where we could send him. And
yeah, right.
You know, Randle. The reason I have a little more disdain for the way Randle played and his attitude is that he's been around longer than RJ Barrett. I think sometimes Knicks fans forget just how young RJ Barrett still is.
This is only 38 walking into. Yeah.
Right. And he's a very young player, so I could forgive him a little more.
You know who I like? Emmanuel Quickly.
I do like I do like him, and I also like Josh Hart a lot. I think Josh Hart,
he brought a lot to the table this year for us, man. He brought a lot.
Josh Hart is kind of like, you know, the name says it. He is on many metrics the heart and soul guy of this team, and just a guy that's not afraid to put his body on the line night in and night out. And one thing about Madison Square Garden, you're going to win the fans over if you do that, because we all know how much Charles Oakley was loved for that same kind of style. But one thing, we got to get better behind the arc, and I love the acquisition of the Big Ragu and getting those three guys together. They used to all play together at Nova.
I forgot about the Big Ragu.
It's a big part that it gets overlooked.
Yeah.
And it happens
Nova players getting back together. Yeah.
Right. Guys that played in college.
Yeah.
As soon as they get a chance to book off of a rookie deal or just in a trade itself.
Yeah.
Reuniting more and more guys is becoming a growing theme, and not just the NFL, but the NBA as well.
I think with Zion, I'm glad we didn't draft him. I heard a lot of Knicks, we should have got Zion. And I'm glad we didn't get him, because look what we would have had to deal with.
Yeah, we would have had to deal with a lot of disappointment. And one thing I must say is, being a Knicks fan, I have absorbed enough of it. I want to win finally. We got 20 seconds left, guys. Hope we did a good job of pretty much getting all these topics together in a 1 hour thing. I'm actually very pleased with how much we were able to talk, especially since I feel like dog shit. For my man, Mr. Idris, I am Richie. Have a great night, everybody.
Go Mets.